All this story would develop after Goku and Vegeta had defeated on 2 occasions. All the warriors were very worried about the future of Trunks. However, in all of them, a doubt and hatred would happen. Knowing that all this was happening because of Goku, after a while where Goku and Vegeta had trained a little, Vegeta had increased his power in a great way, while Goku had learned the Mafuba. When they all returned to the future, they started again with their great battle. However, this time Trunks managed to successfully seal Uematsu, where Goku and Vegeta were only facing Black after 35 minutes of battle. Black would be in terrible condition and was not able to continue with the battle. That's what you get for wanting to destroy all the mortals. They are, Goku. You give your light for them, but in one occasion that'll lead to your death. Don't make me laugh. They're my friends. They would never do something like that to me. However, at that precise moment, Vegeta would charge a small sphere of energy, which was directed towards Black, but at that instant, Vegeta would turn quickly and Goku would be without guard. He would be pierced, falling badly wounded to the ground. Black would be very surprised to realize what the Prince of the Saiyans had done. Vegeta, what the hell are you supposed to be doing?
Kakarot, this is the good for our timeline and for the good of the 12 universes. Your ability to get us into trouble is impressive, and we can't allow this. That's what I mean, Goku. The mortals are despicable beings who will betray you when they have the slightest opportunity. Trunks will return to our timeline, while you'll be locked in the time room for this era. Sorry, Kakarot. Vegeta quickly took Black and Goku and went to the Temple of Kami-sama, which was a little destroyed, but this time room was still intact. Vegeta! Don't do this! If you lock me in this place, I swear I'll continue with the Zero Death Plan myself. Damn insect. I'll never be able to leave this place. Vegeta at the moment was throwing him into the time room. He would destroy the entrance, and at that very moment, Vegeta would increase his power to the limit. Even his muscles would grow too much. If I use this power in battle, I would lose irretrievably, since my muscles are so big they'd make me slow. But the power is amazing, and this is enough. Vegeta would launch a great attack to the dimension. That attack was special. That's right, Vegeta, being much smarter than Goku, was able to master his power to create a barrier around the entire realm of everything. This will be enough, since you'll have to destroy the same dimension of the time room in my seal. But Trunks, let's get back to your new home. Vegeta and Trunks would return thanks to the time machine. When they arrived, everyone would ask Goku. At that moment, Vegeta and Trunks began to explain everything that happened. At the beginning, all of Goku's friends would be a little angry. However, they knew it was the right thing to do and everyone would accept it. However, a much bigger problem was approaching. Meanwhile, in the future of Trunks, more specifically in the time room, Goku and Black were still on the verge of death. Goku would take out one of the seeds that Piccolo had given him from his attire, recovering all his powers quickly, and at that moment he'd observe Black. What you're right about it is that all mortals are trash. I gave my life for them. So now Kakarot and Black would be the ones to execute the Zero Human Plan. Goku would throw a seed to Black in the same way. Black at that moment of eating it would heal all his wounds, but just like Son Goku, he had obtained an incredible Zenkai. So now that you're with me, what's the first thing we'll do, oh Goku? First of all, stop calling me Goku. My real Saiyan name is Kakarot. And second of all, we're trained to be able to take out all those bastards. Okay, Kakarot, but remember, this time not only mortals are our enemies, if we go back to your timeline, all the gods will turn against us. I know, Black. For that very reason, we must train in this place. Vegeta left us in the Python place to increase our power, so we must make the most of it. I understand, Kakarot. If that's what we'll do, how will we defeat all the gods and angels as they get in our way? First, we must increase our power to the limit. When our powers no longer increases in the same way, we'll call the king of all Xeno-sama. The king of everything Xeno-sama. He'll wipe us out in an instant. Another matter, well, what do you play to call him? We can't leave this place. At that moment, Kakarot would show him the button that Xeno-sama had given him in his timeline. Xeno-sama, being like a child, will be very easy to manipulate, so it won't be a problem. When we have manipulated him, we'll have the king himself train us. Black would be a little surprised to hear Kakarot's plan. What will happen when we're done with our training? That's more than obvious. We'll kill the dwarf. We'll get out of this damn place and we'll start our revenge against all those bastards. Black at that moment would understand all of Kakarot's plan, and without wasting any time, both began to train in an incredible way, with the intention of increasing their powers in a fast and safe way. Meanwhile, the past Beerus and Whis had arrived to planet Earth, because the King of Everything had requested an exhibition tournament. Now kill Vegeta and Gohan, let's go to the exhibition tournament since you'll be facing any of us dying. At that moment, a tense atmosphere fell all over the planet Earth. That's right, no one present knew how to tell him what happened with Son Goku. At that moment, Whis would notice the presence of Trunks, however not the presence of Lord Goku. Well, apparently something very serious has happened, as I can tell Mr. Goku is not in the entire Universe 7. At that moment, Beerus would be very astonished by Whis' words. At the moment of asking for an explanation, he was furious and would raise a part of his Hawkeye energy, and at the same instant, Vegeta would step in front of everyone, explaining to Beerus everything they had done with the Saiyan Goku. What did you do? This is something very difficult to assimilate, as the same friends of Mr. Goku for whom Mr. Goku gave his life. Mr. Beerus, list. Please understand that Kakarot's insect only brought misfortune. Because of him, the tournament of power was organized. At that moment, Beerus and Whis would remain silent. No one thought what the same Vegeta had said was true. This is no time to argue. In that case, Vegeta, Trunks, and Majin Buu, you will be the representatives of Universe 7 in this exhibition tournament. At that moment, everyone went to the planet of this supreme Chaosian to arrive quickly to the place where Daisuke was selected. However, Kai was a little surprised because he did not observe Goku. At the moment they arrived, Daisuke would begin with the explanation of the rules of the Tournament of Strength. The battles in this situation would be Majin Buu in the first battle, Trunks in the second battle, while Vegeta in the third battle. At the end of the battle, the time Toppo would not jump to the platform as he did not consider Vegeta worthy, since he did not use the Super Saiyan Blue. Universe 7 takes the victory of this tournament. In this instant, I'll explain the rules of the Tournament of Power. Daisuke would explain all the rules that were known. However, this time, the time would be 1 month. That's right, the Warriors had 1 month to prepare for the Tournament of Power. All the gods returned to their universes, and each of them began to train their most powerful warriors. Meanwhile, in the future, Kakarot and Black had already raised their power in an impressive way. However, at that time, Kakarot was becoming much more evil, being betrayed. His true Saiyan part had awakened, so this was much more cold and intelligent. The Super Saiyan God was at the base state. The Super Saiyan Blue, in a nutshell, is the Super Saiyan 1. We can reach the other variants of the Super Saiyan. I don't know if that's correct, because in the divine world, the power scales are a little different from what we know. We don't lose anything trying, so we'll take our bodies to the limit. You don't know how much I hope to end the life of Vegeta's insect. The new Saiyan Prince will be me. Kakarot and Black would continue with their regular training, which consisted of cheating that their body resists all the possible energy load. To achieve this, they had to reach a physical that hardly a Saiyan could reach. However, both continued forward by the desire for revenge that motivated them. After spending approximately 3 years in that place, Black and Kakarot were able to reach Phase 2 of their transformations. This power is incredible. I'm sure that with this power, no one will be able to face us. They won't be able to fight us. Don't get impatient, Black. When it'll reach the better of the Super Saiyan Phase 3, let's take risks. When we have reached that form and our power has increased as it's currently doing, it'll be time to call us a king of everything. Now, I don't believe that any god or angel will be able to face us with the power we have now. Kakarot would, at that moment, return to observe him with a serious look, which would leave Black trembling, which would again train and would say to himself, Kakarot's power and mine are similar. I don't know why I'm so afraid of him. Meanwhile, planet Earth, Vegeta, Trunks, and all the warriors were having a great training with the god Beerus and his angel Whis. That's right, no one wanted to lose, and knowing that they did not have Son Goku, they focused on the Saiyans, which increased the power in an impressive way. Mr. Vegeta, as I explained, now you are able to dominate your destructive power. With that power, you have the maximum defense and attack. Thank you very much, Whis. This power known will be able to face me. But Vegeta was not the only one who had increased his battle power, since Trunks had achieved the Super Saiyan God while Gohan was able to reach the Beast Mode when Beer threatened to end the life of his daughter. I could see that everyone has increased their power in a surprising way. I'm surprised. There's still 15 days left, in which we will increase a little bit more. Will not let Universe 7 disappear. I'll even give my life. All the other warriors continue training, and at the moment of increasing their powers, lightning, mountains, fighter spears, everything seemed a complete chaos. Returning to the Room of Time, Kakarot and Black would continue training in the same way, to become much more powerful. After one more year, Kakarot and Black had strengthened their body in a great way. At that moment, Black felt ready to reach the Super Saiyan Phase 3 because he didn't want to stay behind Kakarot, who had reached it 5 months ago. Black began to increase his power in a great way, making everything around him tremble. And in the same way as the Saiyans, his power destroyed everything around him. So Black had reached the Super Saiyan Phase 3 Rose. Black's power continued to increase in a surprising way. The power he was releasing was so much that even the barrier that Vegeta had created had been destroyed. The entire planet Earth began to cause disasters as if a true god had come to that place. At that moment, Black had finished his transformation, observing him in the powerful Super Saiyan Rose Phase 3. The power was releasing was incredible. Kakarot, who had already reached the transformation 6 months ago, he was only dominating the energy wear. That's right, Kakarot was only dominating his new transformation. Oh yeah, I've had enough power to even eliminate the barrier of that damn Vegeta. Now I'm ready. Kakarot, a little annoyed because every time Black reached a new transformation he thought he could defeat any being, Kakarot would stand in front of him. If you are still prepared, that's fine. If you manage to defeat me, I'll call Xeno-sama right now and we'll start with the new training. Black's body warned him not to attack, however, Black would not pay attention to his instincts, throwing himself against Kakarot, which dodged his blows with extreme ease. Black, furious because Kakarot was only playing with him and only dodged to block his blows, furious, would begin an attack with much more speed. However, his power was not enough. Damn it, Kakarot. If you have the power to hit me, do it. Oh, Black, if that's what you want, I'll do it. Black at that moment would be hit by a strong blow, however, it had really been an air wave. That's right, the power of the blow of Kakarot had been so much that his fist had created a blast of air that almost knocked out Black. Kakarot at that moment began to fight against Black, but unlike Black was that Kakarot was only using one of his arms. And this made Black more and more enraged, and due to the anger, he didn't fight in an intelligent way, leaving several neglected points, which Kakarot took advantage of to do great damage. After approximately 12 hours of battle, in which Kakarot had taken them as a warm-up, Black was very hurt because he had used all his power and he had not been able to do anything. How are you so powerful if we have the same body? It's true! We have the same body, but one thing that Vegeta's insect was right about is that you don't have the Saiyan cells in your soul, or rather in your spirit. That has nothing to do with it, since all the Saiyan cells are in the body, they're not in the soul or spirit, as you say. You're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but the truth is that only I'm able to get 100% out of my body, but I teach you to master it as if it were your own. At that moment, Black would fall out of combat, however, this was with a smile. To achieve the Super Saiyan Rose Phase 3, Kakarot would take him to one of the beds, which have the room, and let him rest, and at that time, Kakarot would continue trading. Meanwhile, on planet Earth, there were only 7 days left for the Tournament of Power to begin. However, the Universe 7 had increased its power in an amazing way. Athret's power that they had obtained had been so much that even Beerus and Whis would be surprised, since the power of Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Frieza had grown in such an amazing way that even for Trunks, the other three were able to defeat the god Beerus, and even Vegeta and Frieza fighting together were able to force Whis to use 45% of all his power. And that was a beastly, since Whis was a guardian angel. Everyone has increased to the palette in a surprising way. Who was shocked? With a great team, no one would be able to face Universe 7. At this moment, I would love for that dirty Saiyan Goku to be here to tear him to pieces with my bare hands. I have finally overcome the power of Kakarot's insect. Now, I'm the most powerful Saiyan of all the existing universes. In these last 7 days, you can do whatever you want. They're perfect for some technique, continue training, or spend time with your family. Let's continue parading. When the power of tournament is over, I could go with them because if we lose, we'll all be eliminated. What a great determination, Vegeta. You leave me surprised. Now, you are my best warrior. You've been able to defeat Super Sug Goku. The Universe 7 is in your hands. At that moment, everyone started their training again, which consisted in dominating their internal energy as well as their emotions, and at that moment, some rocks of all that place would rise, and lightning would fall all over that place. While the warriors were meditating for approximately 3 days, meanwhile in the realm of nothingness, Sky-Shaken was building the platform of the Tournament of Power. Whoever this was from one moment to the other would wonder, Universe 7 in the exhibition tournament did not bring Lord Goku. How strange. As I understood, he is the most powerful warrior in that universe. Meanwhile, in the time room, Black had already woken up and was training in the same way. After spending 3 years inside Black, Kakarot had already mastered the transformation completely, so both were ready to start their nuke slaying. At that moment, Chakra would press Zeno-sama's button, making him appear in the time room a little confused. You come from another timeline. That's a villainy in my multiverse. I know, Zeno-sama, but we've been trapped here for that reason. I was hoping that you could give us an increase of our powers to go back to our time, please. That's okay. I don't have anything else fun to do anyway, so we better start when you're ready. We're always ready. Well then, I hope you're ready because with my treading, you'll want to die. A moment, Kakarot was about to say something about it. However, your oppressive pressure would fall all over that place. That's right, the power of Zeno-sama seemed to crush them. Some parts of their bodies were more affected. Even their heart began to pump much more blood to be able to recover all the lost blood. The power of Zeno-sama even made them both fall to the ground, returning to their base state. Oh, what the hell is this pressure? I said I was physically strong enough to withstand it. I can't move a single finger. I feel like it's breaking all my bones. This can't be happening. If with the pressure of 5% of my power you're not able to move, then you're not worthy to receive my training. Black and Kakarot were surprised to know that the pressure they fought was only 5% of the total power of Zeno-sama. Kakarot, feeling humiliated, said to himself, if I access the Super Saiyan Blue Phase 3, I won't be able to do anything. But if I access the Super Saiyan God that possesses regeneration, I'll be able to do something about it. Kakarot at that moment would pass to the Super Saiyan God, however he was still unable to stand up. But after a few more minutes, Kakarot was able to stand up. However, his whole body was trembling. This is incredible. One was able to stand up, is the other simply a worm that can't do anything? Black with those words would pass to the Super Saiyan Rose Phase 1, and that was the one that consumed less energy and the one that was better controlled. Black, after approximately 3 hours, was able to stand up. That's right, Black was only able to stand up for only 7 seconds. At that moment, he'd fall to the ground again. That's enough. From tomorrow, we'll start with this hell. Kakarot and Black rested for the day. As they began their training, Zeno-sama had created multiple replicas of Black. I've created multiple replicas. When you're able to defeat them, we'll go on to new training. But don't be confident as I've given you part of my power. Kakarot and Black would begin a fight with their respective replicas, realizing that even in their most powerful transformation, they were not able to do anything to those replicas. Meanwhile, on Beerus' planet, they had already finished their meditation. At the moment, Beerus would approach everyone, but especially Vegeta and Frieza. I want you to observe the maximum of your powers, so you start Vegeta, get toads back. As you command, Beerus-sama. Oh, they've nothing unguarded. Vegeta at that moment would begin to increase his power in such an amazing way that even the entire universe of 7 would begin to tremble. Vegeta's ki was overwhelming those present except Frieza. That moment of a great wave of purple energy, Vegeta would be observed in his Ultra Ego phase. This is my power, Beerus-sama. Who power is even more greater than mine. But if I transform, I would still be able to defeat you. But get to the little. Are you, Frieza? Vegeta would remain a little thoughtful since he didn't know that the God-destroyed Beerus had a transformation. At that moment, Frieza, like Vegeta, would begin to raise his power, making the whole planet tremble. Lightning and fireballs fell all around him. That's right, his power was even a little higher than Vegeta's. In the transformation, from a current of smoke could be seen Black Frieza. I think over my power this Fabius. In my transformation, I'm able to master when I do percept. Not like the last time I do in last of my golden state. But I think it's excellent now. Yes, you're able to do whatever you want in these 4 remaining days. I'm sure that Universe 7 will be the winner. Beerus was very sure of being the winner. However, in all the other universes, all their warriors were also in fighting. Especially in Universe 11, Jiren and Toppo had received a great training by the Daisy Angel. No one will be able to defeat Universe 11. The power of Jiren and Jelpo even surpasses me. I doubt that any other universe has 2 more powerful warriors. Do not trust Mr. Vermouth, because we could get a big surprise. Returning to Universe 7 on Earth, everyone has gathered where Bulma had created a great banquet for the Tournament of Power. I'm sure that all of you will be victorious and return safe and sound. You can take it for granted, woman. No one will be able to defeat the Prince of the Saiyans.
Meanwhile, in the time room, Black and Kakarot were able to defeat the replicas that Xeno-sama created. Every 2 weeks, they got used to their power. After 5 more years, the power of Black and Kakarot have increased in a great way, but they had not achieved any other transformation.
Now that they have the physique as hard as diamond, the resistance of their body is something that any warrior can find difficult to achieve. It's time to teach them the Super Saiyan Phase 4. Super Saiyan Phase 4? Is there such a transformation? At that moment, Xeno-sama would throw a sphere of energy to the sky. This would create a great explosion, since Xeno-sama did not control its power. That's right, Xeno-sama had thrown a great wave of white energy to the ground that was assimilated to the moon. Nevertheless, a great explosion would be created by all that place. At the moment that everything was dissipated, Black and Kakarot would observe the moon filament. In that instant, both began to transform into 2 gigantic Uzarus. At the moment, Xeno-sama would say himself, "So you've achieved it. I hope you reach the transformation of Super Saiyan Phase 4 when you get all that majestic power. I'll absorb you." That's right, the Xeno-sama of the future was much more evil than the Xeno-sama of the past, and the only thing he wanted was the power beyond a king of everything. Xeno-sama watched as everything around him trembled, and various spheres of energy destroyed the whole place. I, as the king of everything, I give you the ability, divine control. And at that moment, a tiny ray came out of Xeno-sama's finger towards Black and Kakarot, who were able to regain consciousness, managing to control all that power. What happened? Oh, why does my body feel so much bigger? So, we transform into Zarus. At that moment, both began to transform into Super Saiyan Phase 4. Kakarot had access to Super Saiyan Phase 4 Blue, while Black to his Rose state. At that moment, the whole sky of the dimension began to have rays, and at that moment, both subjects would appear with their new transformations, leaving Xeno-sama surprised. The power they gave off is impressive. They even surpassed the power of Dai Shaken. There's still no match for me. I'd better finish them now that I can. However, Xeno-sama was not the only one who planned to finish them off, since at that moment Kakarot already wished to end Xeno-sama's life by communicating telepathically with Black. Now that we've obtained all this power, we're ready to finish with this dwarf. So get ready, at the slightest opportunity, we'll do it. Don't you think it's too soon? We must master all this power. We could do that on our own, since that miserable dwarf also wants to finish us off. What do you say? Why don't you think that? He has been training us. As far as I could tell, what he wants is to take our powers. Since his key power is mixed with the guardian angels, there's no other explanation. That's right, Kakarot, by leaving his kind side, had become much more intelligent and cold, not letting anything go unnoticed. That moment, Xeno-sama would approach them. Congratulations, you reached Super Saiyan Phase 4. Now just master your power. That is essential for your ki, as it's not so heavy and have better agility in battles. Black and Kakarot began to train. Xeno-sama was also looking for the opportunity to finish with one of them in one blow or leave them on the verge of death, because if being joined together, they would be a real problem. Again, in their training, both were a little exhausted, or that was what Xeno-sama believed, since both subjects were also reserving energy for an unexpected attack. At that very moment, Xeno-sama would launch an attack. "It is now, mere mortals, I'll keep your powers." Xeno-sama would direct a powerful blow to Black, who did not have the same power as Kakarot. Since this one was a little weaker, however, he was surprised when Black had increased his power from one moment to another, pushing him away with the explosion of his ki. "So you really wanted to finish with all of us. You're a bastard. You never wanted to help us increase our power. You only wanted us to be part of you." "There's no point in hiding my intentions. You're right. I just wanted you to become more powerful than take your power for myself." "Too bad that won't be possible, because now we're capable of ending your miserable life." "Ha ha ha ha. Don't make me laugh, you fucking mortal. They must have no energy since they just finished their training, so you're not able to do anything against me." "Why don't you get for yourself, if we can't do anything back?" Xeno-sama, furious, would throw up against Kakarot and Black, but to his surprise, both released a power even greater than Xeno-sama knew. That's right, the power of both had been so much that it would leave even Xeno-sama surprised. "I can't be. This hasn't been happening. And I've drained those damn monsters. That creed'll end my life. The Saiyans just like me from the beginnings through to the end of my life." At that moment, Black and Kakarot threw themselves against Xeno-sama, who in spite of being a king of everything was not able to do anything. That's right, Xeno-sama seemed to be a simple insect. The power of Black and Kakarot hid was even so great that it surpassed the power of a king of everything, and they were capable of facing 3 Xeno-samas at the same time. After Black and Kakarot had humiliated him in the worst way, they have left him very badly injured on the floor. "Ha ha ha. So you caught yourself a king of everything. You've bitten the dust more times than I can remember. You're nothing more than a simple insect. We're the only true ones to be called the kings of all, not a simple weakling like you, who doesn't even know how to rule the universes. Damn you. I should never have trusted such cursed subjects as you. I should have absorbed you from the beginning, their worst creation in all existence." Well, that simple creation will finish the king of everything. How funny, don't you think? In that instant, Black and Kakarot would touch the body. Xeno-sama was starting to devour all its spiritual sea. All that power was entering the body of Kakarot and Black. That's right, their bodies seemed to fill with energy. The screams of Xeno-sama were chilling. Xeno-sama at that moment regretted having finished with the lives of all the angels, since they also felt all this agony. At the moment that Xeno-sama was without power, they stopped absorbing energy. At that moment, the power of both Saiyans had increased in an incredible way. That's right, the power of both subjects already surpassed the power of a king altogether. This power is amazing. We must control it, and we'll finally start with what we've been wishing for a long time. At that moment, Kakarot would charge a sphere of energy, storing into the weakened Xeno-sama, finishing with the life of this one, and not leaving any trace. "You're right, Black. Let's master all this power, and we'll finally finish with all those bastards." Kakarot and Black began to control all the power they had absorbed from Xeno-sama. Meanwhile, on the planet of Earth in the past, there was 1 day left for the Tournament of Power, in which everyone was right. So, the Universe 7 would look very confident in taking the victory, and the next day, the big moment had come. The members of Universe 7 would be Frieza, Vegeta, Piccolo, Gohan, Trunks, Master Roshi, Krillin, Tenshinhan, and androids 17 and 18. That's right, all these warriors would be the representatives of Universe 7. Well, I hope you're ready, because in 5 minutes the High Priest will teleport us to the realm of nothingness. I trust you. You have the necessary power, so you could do it. At that moment, all the warriors would be teleported to the realm of nothingness, and at the moment of arriving, not so much had happened in which all the universes would begin to arrive. At the moment of arriving, the Universe 11, all the warriors gave off an amazing power, leaving it surprised all the other gods and participants of the tournament. At that moment, at the top of the hole, the Great Priest would make an appearance. "Thank you all for coming. The rules that I explained in the Tournament of Strength are still maintained, so the best universe will win. Start! In that moment, all the warriors were launched against everyone. That's right, the Tournament of Power had begun. Meanwhile, in the Room of Time, after that year, Black and Kakarot had been able to dominate all that heavy power. It's time, Kakarot. We're able to powerfully be enough. I agree with you, Black. It's time to pay those bastards a visit. Black would raise his power a little, being able to open a dimension, through which Black and Kakarot would leave. At the moment of leaving, Black would use his Time Marine, creating a space rift. But unlike before, Black, to overcome the power of a king of everything, had the ability to stay in that place as long as he wished, and would not be dragged by the space-time. Black and Kakarot would arrive to planet Earth, observing everything. At the moment, Bulma noticed two subjects. She'd panic. Goku and Black, aren't you two supposed to be trapped? So you Bulma knew that Vegeta had said did it to me, and you agreed. Not because of that act, would have wiped out this whole miserable planet. Bulma would not believe what Goku would say, since she knew him since he was a child and knew that his behavior was not like that. Her impression was great when she realized that Goku was talking seriously. That's right, the Goku she knew was dead. His heart now possessed evil. Kakarot didn't care about destroying the Earth with a single attack. That's right, the planet Earth at that moment would explode, ending the lives of all mortals. Kakarot and Black searched quickly the entire universe without success. Damn it, where the hell are those damned ones? At that moment, Kakarot would remember the Tournament of Power, and by teleporting to the planet of Beerus, his doubts would be completely solved. Black, all the gods, angels, and most powerful mortals are in that place that Xeno-sama Daisheki created for the Tournament of Power. That'll be a problem since we don't know how to get to that place. Kakarot and Black were indeed thought. However, at that moment, they had been able to feel the power of Xeno-sama. That's right, since they both possessed a key in the same dimension of a king, that they would be able to feel the power of Xeno-sama. Kakarot and Black would use hoods that would cover their entire face, and at that moment, they would teleport. However, both had enough power to disappear their ki completely and prostrate themselves in a place that was even higher than the High Priest. Observing everything that had happened, at the moment that both subjects had arrived, at the moment no universe had been destroyed. However, the two subjects stared at the entire Universe 7, especially the Saiyan Vegeta, who felt a strong pressure falling on him. What the hell is happening? I feel a pressure crushing me. Vegeta, without giving importance, would pass to the Super Saiyan Blue to relieve a little pressure. At that moment, Black, without containing his anger, from above would give a scream. Prince good for nothing! You're nothing! Your power is a shame! At that moment, all the fights had stopped when observing two guys who were at the top of the mountain. Garrett Worm, what did you say? What you heard, insect? You're Prince good for nothing! Vegeta, furious, would launch an attack, giving him a few good blows to Black. However, all the angels realized that although Vegeta's blows would hit, he wasn't hurting him. Vegeta at that moment would realize the power of his opponents, passing the Super Saiyan Blue maximum power, making everything tremble and leaving surprise all the other gods. If you raise your power, I'll do the same. At that moment, Black began to increase his power, leaving everyone surprised, even Daisheki. Black's power seemed to have no limits.